Jesus.
And we are live on the PHU Dynasty Podcast, episode 48. And we are not far away from the season, Sean. The hype is getting real.
It's right around the corner.
I saw a great meme earlier that said, me waking up the Sunday morning before I drop a 60-leg parlay to lose it all. And I was like, that's going to be me. I love dropping those big parlays. I'm totally going to do it.
Waking up last Thursday when there's a game where nobody important is going to play, and you're still like,
and I was still excited. Yeah,
football's back.
I was like, I'm gonna watch 3 plays of starters. It's gonna be awesome.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna be in the heat of preseason next week with the week 2 games. I think that's when you're probably gonna see the most starters play it, I imagine, right? Like, I think
so.
week 3 will be interesting for our redraft league because we're gonna have a DraftKings contest for picking our draft order, and there's gonna be a lot of shitheads playing. So I'm excited to see which Jagloons I can pick for that game. But anyway, we're going to be doing episode 48 here. We're going to talk a little bit more about the preseason, obviously. We're going to talk about some camp battles. And then I have the survey I released yesterday. We got 5 responses on the survey. So at least, we can talk about some of the rankings that we received, maybe some of the players we, got feedback on, and like the questions we had. So we'll talk a little bit about that. So, I mean, we could lead off with that. We could kind of go, actually, since we have preseason games going on right now, let's talk about kind of what the storylines are here for the first couple weeks here of preseason, because we had the Hall of Fame game. Really, nobody important is going to play in that. Izzy Abedakanda got a touchdown, I guess. That was kind of like one of the dynasty relevant players from that game. But this week is kind of a little bit more of like the meat and potatoes. So, today, starting at 6:00, we had a couple of games already start. We had Steelers Buccaneers going on right now at 17-7 Steelers. Baker Mayfield threw a touchdown to Trey Palmer. We had a touchdown for George Pickens from Kenny Pickett. Interesting that I looked at the Falcons stat, box score. No starters whatsoever for the Falcons in this game. So no Bijan, no anything, no Ritter, which was shocking. It's like, don't you want Ritter to get some experience? It's like, what are we doing out here?
I don't.
Something tells me he's not ready to rock. Just right now. I don't know. You can keep Pitts out as long as you want, though. That's fine.
Preseason's a weird place. You just there's just a report that like Mahomes and Kelsey are going to play in their first preseason game. Like, it's
I've noticed that the Chiefs, like, it's all team dependent. Like, the Chiefs will play their players in preseason, and I guess it's all just dependent on what the quarterback wants. We also had the Giants Lions. They're at halftime right now. Jahmyr Gibbs was pretty involved early on there, but nothing crazy from him. I watched a little bit of the highlights from that. Jamison Williams dropped like a 70-yard touchdown pass, so that was fun.
That's what he does. He runs fast and drops passes.
And you know what? He could be John Ross. He could be good. Who knows? He could be either way.
Darius Hayward-Bay.
He could be anything. Well, that's basically the archetype, is that these guys can run fast, straight, and can't catch. So, he could be the next one in that list. But it's funny, he wasn't that bad at dropping passes in college, and now, like, all of a sudden he just stinks at catching.
Even like Dan Campbell, I think.
He came in the media and was like, "Yeah, he can't catch."
I don't think that's what he meant. I think he meant like he was trying to compliment that he gave like speed to the offense.
Yeah, he was like, "Oh, we're gonna bring him here to catch the ball." It's like, well, yeah, he kind of did. I don't understand that. I'm just looking at the Packers stat lines. Dontavian Wicks, former Eric sleeper pick for the draft. I think I got sniped by Justin because he loved the name so much, but he's got 2 catches for 66 yards. Samori Torre with like 56 yards. What else we got here? We got Romeo Doubs caught a touchdown earlier from Love, and that was a sweet touchdown too. It was kind of like a jump ball in the red zone.
They had Aaron Jones play him? Wow.
They had him. He literally caught like 1 pass, and then he went to the sidelines and never played again.
Well, see, there's just
That's the first play of the game, actually. Yeah, it's the first play of the game. And they just threw him like this little dump pass, and he just walked out of bounds and never played again. What else we got? So, obviously with Cincinnati not having Burrow, none of the guys are going to start there. So they had like Chris Evans had a couple of nice carries, but nothing
Currently the
crazy going
backup.
on. What's that?
Currently on depth chart wise, he's currently the backup. So
Depth charts wise, I mean, based on what I was watching, because that's the only televised game out here, the Chris Evans looked like the number 2 for now. But that can change. Also, last night we had a couple of games, Vikings and Seahawks. Charbonnet looked pretty mean running the ball yesterday. He trucked a couple of guys. I was impressed with kind of what he looked like, because there was a point, Sean, where they said there was a report that said Zach Charbonnet out indefinitely, and I was just like, why would you say that? Like, you're getting me scared for no reason. And I don't even have Zach Charbonnet. I'm scared. And then he comes back at like 2 days later. It's like, dude, if you're gonna out indefinitely, that tells me like we're
yeah,
talking surgery.
the initial reports when both backs went down were like, oh man, Charbonnet's gonna be gone for a while, and I guess Walker will be back soon. It's just a quick soft tissue injury, and then like 2 days later.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing
Hero
up there.
man.
They're just making you sweat for no reason. But yeah, Charbonnet looked good. Jordan Addison had a really nice catch on the sideline. That was cool. Not a whole lot else from that game, really. And then the game before that, I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. There was some
Texans, Patriots. CJ Stroud did not look good.
No, he didn't. He threw a pick like first drive, I think, and then
It
he
wasn't a
looked
good pick either. He looked
no.
like he had no idea what was going on the field.
I watched the second drive and missed the pick, and the second drive he just looked like so frazzled in the pocket. I was like, that's not a good start.
Yeah,
Tank Dell did look pretty
he
good
looked
though.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for being 5'5" or whatever the hell he is, he looked pretty solid. So yeah, so that's kind of what's going on right now. Dolphins, Falcons. Yeah, there's literally Dolphins haven't even scored yet. Nothing crazy. And then I think at 9 we've got Broncos, Cardinals. So that might be kind of interesting for guys like, for me at least, for Marvin Mims and
well, the
Michael Wilson.
Commanders and Browns game finally started too.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one. Yeah, they were in a lightning delay, so that one hasn't got going yet. That's God, what a shit game. I wonder if they're even going to play Howell. Probably, right?
He's playing. Dotson's got a catch. Robinson has a carry. But it's the first drive.
Oh yeah, I'm seeing that now that they just literally just started like 7 minutes, or yeah, they're 1 minute into the game. All right, so that's kind of what's going on right now. And we can start talking about some camp battles. We've already kind of talked about that, and I'll actually segue the Vikings game into this. One of the things I was watching closely yesterday was the RB2 battle for Minnesota, because it seems like Madison's pretty much got the job at this point.
Sure.
But Madison, we've never seen him play any extended amount of carries or anything like that, other than a couple of games here and there. So the second running back there might actually have some value. So, Ty Chandler on my team, I was watching him pretty closely, and he looked pretty damn good. He was really making almost every first guy miss, and his pass protection was immaculate. So it leads me to believe he's probably the leader in the clubhouse based on his third down ability, at least. And then I think Kenny and Wangu was hurt, so that kind of didn't bode well for him. So I would venture to say he's in the lead. But they also have some other guys.
And Kareem Hunt also visited them today.
I thought he signed somewhere. Did he not sign with the Saints?
So the story is apparently like he got to the Saints facility and the Colts reached out to him as he was like getting there. And he originally only had the Saints, and now he's going on this like countrywide
the Dalvin Cook tour.
Yeah, everybody keeps inviting him to like to their facility now. So he's just he's got to get that last contract in, man. Let's get that money.
I mean, that is true. This is definitely his last contract. So, so that's an interesting one. And then, I think too, they don't really have anything kind of behind it. I think they drafted Dwayne McBride in the 7th. So, I mean, if he signs there, he would probably be the clear RB2 right away. But I mean, at this point, I'd be happy with that, because that means Kendre Miller might actually get some touches down there in the Saints. I was worried that if he gets brought in, it would be basically Kendre Miller would be the third guy behind Jamal and Hunt. So that would not be ideal. But
don't forget about the tight end that's on the roster down there too.
Oh God, yeah, Taysom Hill, the slash fullback slash quarterback slash tight end slash kicker, whatever you want him to be. He could do it all. So let's talk
Mhm.
about some other camp battles. I think one of the more interesting one, and it's frankly one that I haven't heard anything about, is the Giants receiver situation, because it seems like Darren Waller is the guy at this point from all the reports I've been seeing.
Yeah, definitely the
But
number.
I've seen nothing about any other receiver, like zero. Like
If
Jalen
you
Hyatt, I guess.
if you go to like any of like the fantasy football, best ball, dynasty like podcasts, you listen to any single one of them, and every single one of them has a different starting pair of receivers that
It's
they think are going to be
ridiculous.
the starters.
They
It's
have
wild.
7 guys that are like decent. And then they have a couple other guys. I think there's 2 guys on kind of like what will probably be their cut candidates, like Bryce Ford Wheaton. And I believe they have another guy down on the bottom of the roster too that's like pretty solid as a prospect. So they have like one of the deepest wide receiver cores. However, none of them are like a standout guy. So I have seen flashes of reports from Hyatt.
Yeah,
But then
that's the one that I feel like throws a wrench into everything. Like he got dumped on by a lot of people in the draft because of the system at Tennessee. But
yeah, they never
I
asked him
mean,
to do anything.
if he's going to be a guy, then that really shakes up their wide receiver room. I mean, the only guy that I am kind of out on is Wandale, but that's because he's still in the pup and he's still getting right from his ACL tear.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the one I'm probably most out on is Shepard, just because he can't ever stay healthy anyway.
Stay
But
healthy.
he's literally like a in a glass porcelain case there. Just keep him in bubble wrap. But from a Wandale's perspective, like he hasn't done shit because he's been hurt. So he's already at a disadvantage. But with Hyatt being a relatively high draft pick too, I feel like they might play a similar role. So that would be a kind of interesting battle to watch. I mean, it doesn't look like Hyatt's. Oh, he's got 1 catch for -4 yards right now, so he's not
Good
doing
start.
anything. Um, but I feel like you could pretty much like pencil in Hodgins and um, God, who's the other one? Like the main guy that they've been talking to.
If
Paris Campbell's been a lot of talk to.
he's the guy that, volume wise, I think he'll probably lead them in targets as a receiver. I think Waller is going to lead them in actual targets, but
Waller is the wide receiver one there.
yeah,
Like that's basically the long and short of it.
if I'm the coach, I'm putting him and Bellinger and then just 2 other receivers in 11 personnel and just putting Waller as the
I mean,
slot.
Bellinger's good too. Like
He had a
I
good
mean,
rookie
he's
year.
just
He got like stabbed in the eye or
yeah, he
something.
freaking has
In
eye
his
gouged
suits.
out. Killed me. That's my
Poor
only
guy.
starting tight end for a while. Oh my gosh, I'm just looking at this stat line for Detroit. I'm such a dope. I was gonna put James Mitchell in my tight end slot because I actually really like James Mitchell for the Lions, but I got suckered into Luke Musgrave. And then now James Mitchell's got 2 for 44. It's killing me.
Mm.
You hate to see it. Starting
I
already. We haven't even
I
got to
made
the
that
season yet.
I made that lineup less than 3 hours ago, and I don't even remember who's on it. So
Mine's ugly, man. Got Dorian Thompson Robinson as my quarterback.
hey, me too.
He
I
runs the
remember
ball.
that one. He looked good in
Yeah, he's
the
running the
All-Star
shit
game.
out of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll give
It's
him a
like
go.
which quarterback runs the ball? All right.
I'll give the kid a shot. It's either that or like Nate Sudfeld. It's like, who do you want?
Is he still bouncing around?
He's playing right now for the Lions. He's 12 of 23,
Oh,
165 yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, Sean.
that's what you get. That's a Sudfeld game right there.
It's not
Former
ideal.
third string Eagles quarterback.
Not ideal at all. Let's talk about some other camp battles. I feel like I'm looking at the list of current games to see if I see anything interesting.
I
I would
got one for you.
sure.
Who's going to be the other running back in Dallas?
I gotta tell you, it's bad. It's not good. I've seen Rico Dowdle a lot, but
Yeah,
then I've also seen Malik Taylor or Malik
because
Davis.
he's the only one with a little bit of size. I think it's just by default.
I mean, I think Taylor is kind of like built in that. Let me look up his size again. I forgot. Not
Like
Taylor, Davis. I thought he was like
yeah,
somewhat bigger.
he's like 2.
5'11", 203 is nothing.
Oh yeah, no, he's not.
And he's from Tampa. Good for him.
What a guy.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Dowdle's got to have a little bit more. Let me see his numbers.
I don't think Deuce Vaughn is bringing the size that they need. So
that I know for a fact. Whenever I weigh more than an NFL player, that's not the guy you want. 5'11" for Dowdle, but does not show his.
I think he was 215.
215. I saw. All right, so that's fine. So that's basically the same size as Pollard. Because
Yeah,
Pollard is not as small as people make him out to be.
250. No, he's not. He just
People are
because.
like, oh, he's this third down back. It's like, dude, he's still like 6 foot, like 210 ish.
Yeah,
Like,
but he's playing next to Zeke. Zeke is thick as hell.
yeah,
So
when he's eating all of his Mexican food at Cabo, he comes back, he looks huge compared to him. I
he
think
ate
I
that
think
entire salvation.
now that I've been like, because we had another discussion about this size running back and how most of them end up busting. But Pollard, so like the if you want the bust version of this at that size, it's Charles Sims, like that leggy runner where it's like your long leggy runner but like skinnier ish. And then if you want the top end of that, it's Matt Forte, where it's like
Yeah,
he's got that like slender tall build but still like kind of makes it work. So like I would say Pollard is in that Matt
yeah.
Forte category. I mean,
Slight your Kamara's Jamal Charles
yeah, but
on the high end.
that doesn't mean he's like, it's just because you think everybody has this like thought that he's small, and I just don't agree with that.
Mhm.
I think he can hold up better. So I'm actually
Especially
I'm very bullish on Pollard.
especially in NFL in 2023 with all the edges getting so small now. Like
That's
it's
true.
the sizes are getting smaller, speeds going up, sizes going down. So it's a little more acceptable
Yeah, I mean, like
to get by.
linebackers are getting, especially inside linebackers are getting smaller now too. You got guys like Levante David who are much smaller than guys back in the day, like
Yeah,
Keith
Kobe
Bullock
Dean.
and all like Ray Lewis kind of guys. Those are just giant
Ray
human
Lewis would have
beings.
murdered him.
Vontae's perfect kind of guys. They both murder people. However, I don't know who wins that battle whatsoever, but I do know it's gonna not be Ronald Jones.
Every day that goes by, I really just think it ends up with Zeke coming back.
It seems like it,
But
and then I hear like Jerry saying like, or no, it wasn't Jerry. Jerry opened the door for it, and then I think McCarthy like was like, "Nah, we just like who we got here." It was so weird. Like they're not on the same page whatsoever. Which is
yeah,
what
but
a shocker.
McCarthy doesn't have a say. Like, does he really have a say?
I
Does
don't
he?
know. Maybe I don't know. I don't know how that dynamic works. It's got to be weird.
I don't know. I mean, it might go a little bit of a way to re-sign your quarterback if you bring back his best friend, who will be due for a contract extension at the end of the year.
Yeah,
There's that.
there is that, and he's pretty affordable at this point. Like they have the money for him. So,
Yeah.
All right, so next camp battle. Let's find another one here. One that did get a little interesting was Tim Patrick going down for the Broncos, so that kind of opens up that slot. So I think that kind of helps Dulcich a little bit, and that would
My
probably help
note
him.
was who's the number 2 receiving option in Denver?
Yeah, I mean, there's options for sure. I mean, they have. I didn't even know this, but I saw it the other day because the depth chart came out and Dulcich was not the number 1 tight end there on the depth chart.
Because
It
he
was
doesn't block.
Adam Troutman.
Yeah, I saw that.
I was
It's
like, I forgot he was even on this team.
Sean Payton's comment was basically that he can block and receive. And he'll use Dulcich just as a receiver.
He's gonna have to be the
So
Jimmy Graham role there.
yeah,
Which
that's
also
what
Jimmy Graham is alive and well. He's back. I didn't even know he was still playing football.
seriously,
I was shocked.
good for him. Good
I
for
was
him.
yeah, good. Yeah, was he 37? I saw or something. I was like,
Um,
God, man, what the heck happened? I didn't even realize he was still playing. Oh my God, the Bucks are now losing 27-7. What is happening? Let me look at this box score. We have an Anthony McFarland touchdown. I think Alex started him in the DraftKings.
67-yard touchdown to Calvin
Mason
Austin.
Rudolph.
Ooh, whoa.
He's terrible.
Kenny Pickett went 6 for 7 with a touchdown.
Pickett was effective. Yeah.
He was good at the end of the year. He got
Boy,
a lot better.
Bucks receivers doing nothing so far. Oh, with Trask threw an interception. That ain't it. Keyshawn Vaughn 7 for 4.
Kyle Trash?
Keyshawn Vaughn 7 carries for 4 yards. Really lighting it up. He's so bad.
Get me the fuck away from that offense this year.
I mean, the running back room. I was texting James earlier. I was like, man, this is gonna be a bad running back room. Probably one of the worst that the Bucks have had in a long time.
The thing, I know you'll know this, and I know James and Bucks fans will know this, but I think what people forgot is that went from a really dysfunctional franchise to functional only when Brady was there.
Yeah, that's very true.
I don't know.
Maybe it was they weren't really functional then either, though, because Byron Leftwich was a jackass last year. Like I mean, like,
He
I
made
don't even
them not. He made them look not dysfunctional, but not like great. That like, but like before then,
it's embarrassing.
they were on like Browns and like bad Bills level of
They
dysfunctional as a
were, dude.
franchise.
The Shiano years, bro, those were the worst. It was
So
so
bad.
bad. It was so bad.
Just
And like now it's I mean, with all the stuff last year, like if Brady wasn't there, I mean that with the whole Leftwich situation, it would have been such a bigger story. Like it would have been like, oh my god, what is happening here? But the fact that Brady was there to kind of keep that thing even afloat at a 500 level was astonishing. Like it was just incredible. I don't even know the full story of what went down there, but I know Byron clearly was the problem. I mean, he was
yeah.
fired immediately right after the season. Like, so
Mhm.
anywho, let's talk about another camp battle. We haven't seen them play yet, but they play tomorrow. Is the Chicago Bears running back battle? Um, three players that at least a few people in the league like, in our league at least, like with Deontay Foreman. We got Roshan Johnson, and then the leader Khalil Herbert. Like, how do you see that playing out?
It was actually one of the easier ones, I think, for me. I really think this is going to end up being a really true timeshare between all three by the end of the year. Maybe just the two, but he Roshan Johnson's so good at pass pro that he'll probably get on the field at some point.
Yeah, I think he's going to end up being their third down back.
But Khalil Herbert's he's the best runner, but you could size check him if you want, but I think he's on the smaller side, and I just don't know if you want to give him a ton of work.
Yeah, I think I remember him being like in that 5'11", 215 range, but let me check it out. And he is short. He is 5'9", 212.
He's not tiny, but he's not
He's in
huge.
that
I just
Maurice
don't see
Jones-Drew.
anybody getting over like 175 carries on that team. I think it's gonna be pretty split with Fields, Herbert, and Foreman. I think it's going to be a pretty even split too. Herbert probably gets the most, but I don't think it's far off.
It's an interesting backfield because it's one of the few backfields that I like every one of them. Like
Mm-hmm.
I think they all offer something pretty important. So I could see it where they just ride whatever the hot hand is that day or
And
the
I
game plan.
didn't, I didn't look, but I don't know if I have any of them in the top 36 at running back this year.
I probably don't at this point, but let me just peek around at some other battles while you're looking at that.
I have Khalil Herbert the highest at 38 this year.
That's not inspiring.
Yeah.
It's not making me feel good about it.
Okay. I had him with 181 carries. That's what I had him at. So,
All right, I mean that's a decent amount of carries. It's definitely usable.
yeah,
Um,
I think what I'm worried about is their touchdown upside with a rushing quarterback.
yeah, and I think
Or
that offense is pretty well built for the red zone from a passing standpoint too. You got Claypool for jump balls. Komet's good
yep,
in the red zone probably
yep.
too. So I don't know about
You're saying Tunyon too. He's
I
not. That's
forgot
not
about that
nothing.
too. He's
Not
something.
going to be fantasy relevant, but he's going to be annoying enough to commit.
That's a good tight end too for an NFL team for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a couple other ones, but I'm actually going to wait because they ended up being survey answers. So let's go into the survey.
All
So
right.
we had, like I said, we had 5 responses. I haven't been able to put together like an average of the power rankings, but we'll go through each one of them since there are only 5. And these are anonymous. I don't know who submitted these. However, I do have an idea of who they might be based on some of the other answers.
I can tell you which one's mine when we get to
Yeah,
it.
like I'll start with mine, and then we can work our way down the list. But so I'll start here with mine on the power ranking side of things. I'll start from the bottom up. So I'll try to explain maybe a little bit of what I'm thinking. But I had the Elk at 10. I think they clearly are in the midst of the full rebuild, and they're getting close to their year 0 status that both Tibbs and I had, especially at the running back position. However, I don't think he's really that far off of me that at this point, because I do think Trevor Lawrence is going to take a step up this year, and I do think that his receivers with having Devontae Smith and Chris Olave, I think those are 2 really good building pieces, and that I don't think he doesn't have Olave, does he?
He
I know.
does.
Okay, maybe got him back. That's right. But at least two good receivers on top of some other rookies
I
that
think
will be in the
James Cook
same.
is his RB1 too. Not that I mean that's not.
I mean, it could be
It's
something. Yeah, it
not
could be
bad.
something. So like I think he's probably like kind of right on the same level as me. I could have flipped them either way, but I think you'll see more pieces leave the team as the year goes on for draft picks too. So I would put him at 10 right now, but really not far behind me. And then obviously me at 9. It's pretty well documented, really, what my team kind of is looking for at this point. We're just trying to see how these rookies pan out and which guys I can um, snag as the years go on, or as the year goes on. But I am pretty excited for. I was kind of going through my depth chart, in which I posted in the files the other day, and I'm pretty deep at receiver at this point with prospects. So it's just kind of now it's just waiting to see which ones end up busting out and which ones don't. So it'll be a fun year for me regardless because I'll kind of get a better idea of what my wide receiver room is going to look like. So I'm looking forward to it. So at 8, I had the cheese fries. Um, I definitely think there is potential for the cheese fries to end up in the playoffs this year. I was looking through these, had a hard time with your team, Justin's team, and his, mostly because I think all three of those have playoff potential. Justin's team definitely took a hit with some of the injuries so far. And then your team, I really like a lot of the top guys. And some of the depth as well. It's just a matter of if everybody can stay healthy and the running back situation pans out. So I had the Bombers at 6, you at 7, and then the cheese fries at 8. It was just a little tough for me to give the cheese fries the edge because of the running backs in his room right now. Realistically, I think it's only Rashad White is kind of like the guy. And then outside of that, he's got a bunch of rookies um, in Gibbs and also having like Algier kind of fade away from last year as kind of his RB guy last year. I'm still thinking there's still some work to be done on that team before I'm willing to put them a little higher. But they're in a great shape. They're in great shape for sure. At 6, I had the Bombers. Talked a little bit about them already, so I'll move ahead. So we got the Muskrats at 5. I definitely like the starting lineup. The running backs are great. Little concerned with maybe the receiver depth and the overall depth on this team, but that's much documented on this podcast. He's got to stay healthy for that team to work. I have the Battle Axes at 4. I'm getting a little concerned with the Battle Axes. Not so much for this year, but definitely for next year with age. They have a couple of guys like Henry starting to get maybe a little concerned with him with age. He's getting up there. Adam Thielen's kind of not what he used to be anymore. He's got all of his depth guys kind of got old fast. And then Kittle, I call him George Brittle at this point because he just doesn't play. But when he does play, he's good. So I would like to see him stay healthy, but there's a lot of things I could see potentially going wrong for the Battle Axes, but I hate to not put them higher because they're going to end up higher. They always do. It's Scavelli's team. So it's
We can
just,
talk about that when we get to mine.
yeah, exactly. So, and then I got the Lambs at 3. I still think James's team is really, really solid. I think his running backs really haven't gone down in any value this year. Frankly, the Pollard acquisition, I really like that. I think that having Etienne as well is great. And then, of course, his big 2, actually 3 with Mixon, kind of maybe falling down a little bit. But the running back stable is so solid.
Yeah, Mixon taking a pay cut that was great for James.
That was one of the best things that could have happened. Yeah. I mean, I think basically that's just that extra flex guy that he's going to use throughout the season. I mean, I don't think Mixon will be, a bona fide stud, but he'll be very serviceable for his team. And then I just like the way the team is built right now, with CeeDee Lamb being really great as well. The only one I'm really concerned with was Evans, but we'll get to that in a minute. Then I had the Lionheads at 2. Everything he did in the offseason really, really supplanted him in the top 3 for sure. Like I can't put him anywhere outside the top 3 right now. The only thing that's just kind of a weird one is just the Taylor situation, but it's going to get resolved at some point, and he's going to play somewhere, wherever it is. So then with him and Bijan, it's going to be a hard duo to stop. And then I think there's plenty of talent in the receiving room there too. So I'm a fan of him, but I still like Dan's team the best. I just look at Dan's team and all just top to bottom. There's just so much stars, so much star talent, big time talent. Quarterback's great. Tight ends are incredible. He's got Jefferson. He's got Devontae Adams, who he's hurt right now, but he was awesome last year. The team is so solid. I can't not put him at number one right now. So I think it's the top three are very close to me, and then it kind of gets into a mucky area. So that's my power rankings. Sean, let's just do your power rankings, and then we can talk about the other three that we have. You can start from like 10 up.
Do you have them? I don't remember what.
Oh, you don't. Yeah. Let me see. Well, it's gonna be tough for me to tell. I might have to ask one of the other questions.
Oh yeah, it's two.
Okay, so here's the favorite shithead bench player. Who was it for you?
Say again. Who?
Favorite shithead fringe bench player this season?
Was it Clyde?
There is one that says Clyde Frog, so I assume that's you. Yes. All right, so we're gonna go with that one. All right, so let me pull this one up. So we got myself at 10. So
yeah, you and Adam were. I was just gonna, or not you and Adam. Sorry, you and Dustin. I was just gonna throw at 9 and 10. I just kind of like, I didn't look at rosters when I did that. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I mean, we're rebuilding. It is what it is. It's just it is what it is. Then you had the cheese fries at 8.
Yeah, I think that lines up with you as well. I think his team is gonna be good. I think it's a year away.
Yeah, I'm thinking 2024 is the real deal year for him, because he's gonna have Garrett Wilson, Patrick Mahomes, Gibbs will get going, JSN will get going. It's gonna be good next year. Then at 7, you had the battle axes, which is not what I had.
I did have the battle axes.
That's just the Scavelli disrespect.
Who is it? He just, there's no like he can't have a single injury, and he's got an older team.
His depth is a little bit tough. I will say that the depth is
a little nervous. I mean, one of the reasons I traded Fields is because I don't know if he's going to be the starter in a year. We'll see.
Wow, strong words. You got some fighting words probably with other folks in this league. Yeah. I'm not a big Fields guy, but I don't know.
I hope he does. Like I would feel bad. Like, I mean, I hope I look stupid with the trade, but I don't know.
I kind of like, unless he has that like breakout season this year, if it ends up being like a 50-50, well, he played okay kind of year, like then we could with it being a strong quarterback class too. From drafting.
I have no doubt that he would be like a perennial top 10 quarterback in fantasy, but the Bears don't give a shit about fantasy football. They're trying to win games.
I mean, if he stinks this year and there's a great quarterback class, there's definitely a chance he gets replaced.
It's a good, I mean, there's three quarterbacks that are projected top 10, two in the top 3 or 4 picks.
So. Yeah, I mean, it's a great class. I kind of did some pre-scouting on it the other day, and there's good players. There's maybe like 7 deep if they all declare. So it's pretty wild. So it's very possible that maybe they even bring in competition. Who knows? Like, we'll get to that at down the road though. So at 7 you had the battle axes, and then at 6 you had the bombers.
Yeah, I like, if we're just talking about this year, I did that. Jacobs, I have no idea. I don't know if he's gonna come back to the team.
He's a weird one, man. I don't know.
I mean, after that, the running back depth is basically Seattle. So
it is Seattle.
I don't know.
It is Seattle. It's whoever plays.
I realize that I traded away like a top 5 running back, and I can't really speak to having great running backs on my roster, but I don't know. That makes me a little worried. I mean, outside of Jamar Chase and Burrow stack, like nothing on the team is like, oh shit, I got to worry about that this week. To me,
you're not worried about Kyle Pitts?
No,
really. no, I'm not worried about him. He's either 3.4 points, like 34 yards, or like 119. It's all or nothing.
Like I'd be worried if he was starting like Gabe Davis and he caught like a 90-yard touchdown against me. That's about it.
That's not very
and that's not
awe-inspiring.
That's not to say that he's got a bad roster. He's just got a bunch of like solid dudes in there. I don't think there's a lot of like high end outside of the top 2 or 3. And
Yeah,
I
I mean,
think
in this league,
'cause I'll
solid
get
gets you 6th place, you know?
I'll get compared to this because, like, I'm the same way of stars and scrubs on my team, but I just think I have 1 or 2 extra guys that I think can do it for me.
Yeah, I think maybe you might have a little tiny bit more upside too, with one guy that I really love this year, in Amon St. Brown. But we're at the number 5 spot here, and we have the Lambs at 5. What's your analysis with putting them at 5? I had them at 3.
My analysis for James's team was I went back and forth with him at 4 and 5 with me, but I just was really out on his receivers.
I mean,
I'm
other
like
than Lamb, I guess, right?
I was like, yeah, yeah, even Lamb, but even so, they're going from Kellen Moore to Mike McCarthy, which I don't like
I think they're gonna
on
throw
plays.
more.
I
I think they're gonna throw
and
more.
I think it's gonna be a I'm not saying he's not gonna be the leader. I'm saying they've got Cooks
Yeah, they might spread it around more, yeah.
and they've got Gallup a year after he was hurt. The year after
Very
the
true.
year after. So he'll be more involved. I'm not saying he's gonna be great, but he's gonna be more involved. So I think it's gonna be a little less throw it to CeeDee Lamb 160 times, but it's gonna be a little less volume, not a lot.
I mean,
He's
outside
great
of
though. He's
Lamb,
still great.
yeah, he's a great player. It's just that outside of Lamb with Evans kinda getting up there, um, frankly, outside of that, not a whole lot of other inspiring wide
Yeah.
receivers on this
I
team.
like I like Amari Cooper. I'm I don't like any really thing to do with Cleveland outside of Cream or not Cream, outside of Nick Chubb. So
Yeah, I'm kinda with you on that. There's just not a lot of inspiration there. And then his team is notoriously not really had a tight end either for pretty much the entire existence of the
yeah,
league.
I think that's just like a point of like emphasis now for
Yeah,
James.
I feel like it's part of the culture to not have one, just to have like Noah Fant till the end of time or something
Yeah,
like that.
like I'm not big on ETN or Brian Robinson either when it comes to depth at running back. I think
Really?
they're good.
No ETN, huh?
I think that's gonna be a lot closer to a committee than people think by the end of the year.
Interesting. I think yeah,
Um,
based on your other answers here, we'll get to that. Um,
and Brian
so
Robinson, I think there's not a lot of like he'll get the bulk of the carries, but I just don't know if their offense is gonna be able to move. Like it all just depends on Sam Howell. I like Sam Howell, but I don't know. I don't like the enemy at all.
I saw some reports recently that like players are like not happy with the way he's like approaching their like teaching. So it's like
That was a thing in Kansas City too. It just never really like was reported that much.
yeah, apparently he was just like screaming at guys and like berating them and just not like an ultimate like he's not a softie, which I mean frankly the Commanders might need that, but like
True.
it could actually work out, but because the Commanders have been such a joke for so long, but I mean I with Robinson it's weird because I actually like Chris Rodriguez, who they brought in the 7th round. I actually think
Yeah. James
he's
has
gonna
got him
kind
too.
of, which is a good, yeah, it works for him because I think is if he goes down being Robinson, I think Rodriguez would actually be the one that gets plugged into that spot. So and Gibson is still kind of more of that like gadgety kind of guy. So
And I
I
don't
actually like
like
that.
I don't I don't rate based off of like expected injuries either, but like the Chargers every single year are always injured. Every
Yeah,
single year.
there's always one
And
guy.
that's gonna screw Justin Herbert at some point. Like
I mean, I'm worried that it's all gonna hit at once, where it's like you have Allen's out and like Mike Williams is out, and then like you
Like
got
if they don't start the year on fire, like the coach could be out. It could just be like it could be a year from hell, and that's what like it could go that way. It could also go that he's like the NFL MVP because he's got that upside. But
yeah, Kellen
I don't
Moore's there
know
too.
who. What?
Kellen Moore is the OC there now, so
Yeah,
that's kind of
like he could
nice.
end up being the interim head coach, which maybe would be good for their offense. But I mean, Staley's a defensive guy anyway. I don't think it would matter. He's not that guy for me.
No, he's proved it at least a couple of years now that like game time comes on, like there's some weird shit going on with his like clock management. It's rough.
Mhm.
Let's keep moving up the leaderboard. So at 4 is you. So you're wedged in between the Muskrats at 3 and the Lambs at 5.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have the depth that even James's team might have, but I think my players, I think I have 3 or 4 different players that'll win me a week, no problem during the year. I
I
think
mean,
that's,
I
I think
think
that's,
really for your team, the two guys that really can just change a week, I really think Amon-Ra is going to have a great year. And then
mhm.
I think that Hill's kind of going to have a great year again. So those two guys alone, realistically, it to me, your team really hinges on the running backs. I mean, if Javonte can come back healthy and be the guy
Which I was
that
not expecting until
no,
halfway through the
no,
year.
and it's there's plenty to keep it afloat though if those guys like don't hit 100%, like even if they're like 50% hits, then you can still have plenty of good players on this team. um, it's just going to be a case of injuries and making sure guys stay healthy and live up to the hype. So
Yeah, and we'll see. I mean, Lamar has the upside to be the one. He also has the upside to miss half the year. So I'm
it's very
not.
true.
It's the same like with Herbert. Like I'm in the same boat. Like it's anybody's team, but I don't know, biased, 100% biased for me. But
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I get it. All right, so then let's go. So 3 is the Muskrats. um, Thoughts on the Muskrats being at 3? That might be the highest. I gotta have to look at these other ones. It might be the highest that he's rated throughout this survey through the 5 answers we got. Let me take a peek. Yeah, yeah, you're the highest on the Muskrats out of the survey results. Interesting.
I am. Wow, surprising. I mean, I'm higher on Ramondre and Brees coming back, so that might have something to do with it. Um,
True.
I like Najee this year too. I think their offensive line got better. I think all 3 of them could end up being like top 15 running backs this year.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree.
and then I think, I mean, he's got the other than Devontae Smith, he's got the 2 like big number 2s at receiver. And I like
And
both of them, especially Waddle this year. I think Waddle is he's so good. Like
yeah,
that
he's a
offense
player
is,
for sure.
normally like having the number 2 is not great, but they 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 just consume so much volume out of that offense compared to everybody else that it's fine. Totally
Yeah,
fine. He was great. He had a great A dot, and he was like one of the best at yards after the catch last year, which is just a freaky combination for a receiver.
it's just such a great fit too for the McDaniel offense. Like it just makes so much sense. Those 2 fast guys, they don't require that big, bulky type receiver. Like those guys are so perfect for that. So I'm high on him as well.
And I'm
Um,
pretty firm that Lockett is still the number 2 or number 1 guy there for me.
yeah,
I think this is gonna be a firm Jackson Smith and Jigba is gonna be the 3rd guy as a receiver in that team this
I
year.
100% agree. But and I think that was kind of, if you watched some of the game last night, it was pretty much like a foregone conclusion that they had no DK playing, no Tyler Lockett playing, and then JSN played a good amount in the first half. So I think that's kind of, and he played a lot in the slot, so that would make a lot of sense. So let's go to number 2. You have the Plague, and you're the only team in the survey to have the Plague at number 2.
Yeah, I mean, who's his second running back? Like
The ghost of J.K. Dobbins,
Dalvin Cook when he signs somewhere.
the ghost of Dalvin Cook.
Is it Alexander Madison, who I think is literally
I think it's Alexander Madison right now.
he's the definition of a jag to me.
He's the
So
jaggiest of Jags.
like
Should play on the Jaguars.
I, all these people saying, oh, the games that he played when Dalvin Cook was out, yeah, half of them were against the Lions when they were the worst team in the league. Like, go fuck
Yeah,
off. I hate such specific stats like that. They're so dumb when you don't do your research. Um, and then,
I'm not. Whenever I watched him play, I was never inspired. So I just don't know if he's
yeah,
gonna be like that. Take the reins and really just be the guy. Like I just don't see that. But I still think he's gonna be like useful. But I don't think you want him as your RB2.
and he's got Josh Allen, who's going to win him half of his wins anyway. Like,
Yeah, it's not even gonna matter. Yeah, I
he
mean,
played with a fucked up elbow last year, and he was still like a top 3 or 4 quarterback in the league.
and he's got the 2 best tight ends in fantasy football for sure.
And probably
I mean,
the two best receivers in real football. Like,
yeah, I mean,
it's still a great team.
it's a it's a great team.
It's just the running back thing. Like Nick Chubb, like I mean, Nick Chubb is really great, but he can't do it. Like I don't know.
I love Nick Chubb though, so I Nick Chubb is I think he's in line for a great year too. I mean, assuming they don't bring anybody else in, I like him a lot.
But you said it, the ghost of J.K. Dobbins, man. I went
So
back
what a
and
weird situation. He's hurt all the time.
I did you see some of his? Have you seen some of his runs when he like at the end of last year?
I remember when he came back for the first game, and he got into the open field, and it looks like he was running at quicksand.
He was. It looked like he was like one of those fast zombies that had like a dead leg.
Yeah, he was just like it was like his feet were moving, but nothing was. He wasn't going forward. It was like, what is happening?
And he just happened to find the gap where he could run straight, and he just broke some runs. I'm a little worried about that, and the fact that he's not reporting or playing or
Yeah,
on the
I
pup or
just don't even
whatever.
know what the hell is going on. He's just never. Every time I log on to Twitter, it's J.K. Dobbins isn't practicing for some reason, and I never know what it is, and I never have him in anything, so I don't care. But it's yeah, I don't love it for Dan, obviously not having him there. But I mean, if he does have him, I think at this point Dan is probably thinking too that I'm not expecting him to be there because he hasn't been there for my team anyway. So it's like anything he gets from him is kind of like a bonus. Like he probably wasn't really counting on him to begin with. So,
If I was
um,
Dan, I would see if I could trade like a younger player, or trade something for like uh, James Cook or whatever, just to have a little more depth at running back. But that's me.
yeah, I mean that's certainly an option. I mean, I think if he can find maybe as preseason progresses, even there might even be like a guy that pops up, in the signings, like a Kareem Hunt, for example, or just somebody that like gets in a decent situation, just to have some depth. Because you are right. There's not a lot of depth there. Um, so let's go to number one. So you had the Lionheads,
I did.
featuring your former running back. So,
Well, maybe.
well, yeah, I guess true. But right
I
now,
was with
not
the
really.
assumption. The only reason it's different for him as opposed to Josh Jacobs is that Jacobs isn't actually on the team. He doesn't have a signed tender. It's not like
That's
he's getting
true.
fined for not being there.
No.
Like I don't know, Jonathan Taylor, like he doesn't have any leverage, so I think he's gonna end up coming back and playing. He might not be happy,
Yeah, he's
but
gonna play. He's gonna
he's
play.
gonna play.
I
So,
think it'd be shocking if he didn't play.
but the day or two that he was actually at camp, he didn't look healthy.
I didn't even
So
really see, honestly, so I'm taking your word on that one.
he didn't look like Jonathan Taylor when he was there.
I mean, he was pretty hurt last year. It's not like it was a pretty big injury. It wasn't like this little, nagging
He
injury
had
last year.
surgery.
It was a big deal. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe he's not the same guy, but I love him though. So as a player, I mean, everything I saw, I'm on board. It's just a matter of all the other variables right now. But the Lionheads they're going to be a good team this year as long as everybody's showing up, A and B staying healthy. I'm a
And I
fan.
could go. I mean, I can go into like my individual player rankings for this year, but I've got some players not where you would think, lower, and some higher, a
Okay,
lot higher
so
on his
we
team.
have um we have a few other survey questions that kind of we can maybe lump them in with those in a minute. So
Sure.
so let's do these. I'm just going to quickly rattle off these other rankings. We kind of talked about each team at this point. So let me go down to the bottom here, and this ranking, and once again, these are anonymous, has the elk at 10, the armadillos at 9, the cheese fries at 8, long gamers at 7, bombers at 6, muskrats at 5, battle axes at 4, Lauderdale Lionheads at 3, which is the lowest I think I've seen them so far. And then the lambs at 2, plague at 1. And then this next survey was, this was yours. Okay. So then next survey had this armadillos 10, elk 9, long gamers 8, bad bombers 7, cheese fries 6, lion heads 5, muskrats 4, battle axes 3, lambs 2, plague 1. So that one had the long gamers down at 8, Sean. That's somebody doesn't like that. I think that might have been Tibbs's team because Tibbs got him in the playoffs here, maybe. And then the last one we haven't discussed is armadillos 10, elk 9, cheese fries 8, bombers 7, long gamers 6, muskrats 5, battle axes 4, lambs 3, lionheads 2, and plague number 1. So I think we have a pretty decent consensus on like the top 3 or 4. And then the muck is kind of all over the place, it seems like, and then just me and Dustin at the bottom there. So I'll run the numbers once we maybe if you guys still if anybody's listening out there that hasn't done the responses yet for this, if you could do those, then once I have all 10, I can put the aggregated like numbers, the average numbers for each spot. So let's get into the next question on the survey. I thought this was a fun one. Which player is most likely to fall off a cliff this season? So my answer for this one was DeAndre Hopkins, and it's not so much DeAndre Hopkins. I think he still has it. I just don't like the Titans, and usually Titans is where the receivers go to die, generally speaking, over the years. So I would just side with history there, maybe, but I still think Hopkins isn't like completely washed. He's certainly no Robert Woods, but I don't know if he's going to be the same DeAndre that we saw.
Do you mean wide receiver 1 on the Texans, Robert Woods? How dare you?
Dude, okay, so funny thing with the Texans real quick, just completely sidetracked here. I was watching the Texans game last night because I feel like I have 90 Texans players every year for no reason. So I was watching mostly for Nico Collins and John Mechie, right? So I got all excited. First drives out there, and who the fuck is out there? Steven Sims, Sean. I'm like, this is the biggest buzzkill I've ever seen. It was Steven Sims and Robert Woods wasn't playing. And I was like, what the fuck is this? And like, I wanted to see even Tank Dell. I didn't even have him. I just wanted to see him. And I wanted to make a meme about it. It's like me. It was like one of the excited memes. It's like me waiting to see Nico Collins and John Mechie, and then Steven Sims is like the sad Drake. Like I was hoping for it, and it never happened. So
I was super optimistic about Nico Collins until I heard a report from a local beat reporter about how he'll like he's just the type of guy, like from his observation, where he'll just like make a play, but then you'll just forget that he's there for half of the game.
Like, yeah, so like Nico Collins for me is so like, and this is him having him on my team. He reminds me like so much of like Devin Funchess, what he was when he came out of Michigan, like kind of big, kind of fast, goes up and makes plays, really doesn't run routes. Like he doesn't really get separation. He's just like there. And Devin Funchess was there for quite a while, with I believe him there and the Colts and the Packers. But he just like never did anything, and he had like a couple of big plays a year. So I'm hoping I'm wrong, but I don't think out of all the guys on my team, he's one of the ones I'm probably like the most mid on. I'm just not feeling it like right yet. I need to see him do something.
I mean, from what I've read and heard, like the only definite like starter I'm comfortable like he's actually Robert Woods on that receiving core, which is wild.
Yeah, it's crazy. Oh, Alex commented number 1 Lionheads. So, I must have missed it when I was going through his rankings. So I think he wanted to give Vince his credit where it's due there. So sorry about that. Anywho, going back to most likely to fall off a cliff. Yeah, I had Hopkins. So who did you?
I think I have him as like wide receiver, like in like the 23 to 25 range this year.
So it's definitely not a cliff.
Not a cliff. I think he's gonna win with volume. I think still this year.
I got to throw somebody. There's not a lot of options there.
Yeah, Tim Burks and Okonkwo.
I'm not high on Okonkwo at all. I mean, everybody seems to be much higher than me on them. So
I was until they got Hopkins. I mean, it was like a math question at that point. Like, who the fuck is going to get the ball?
I mean, at some point, so whoever's playing is going to get the ball, right? So
you're telling me, like, if I want to give the ball to like a dynamic tight end or Nick Westbrook Akine, like I'm going to give it to the first guy,
Kyle Phillips.
Ooh, Kyle Phillips.
So based on your other answer, it looks like your player most likely to fall off a cliff is Mike Evans. Does that sound accurate?
Yeah, and it's not fair to Mike Evans. It's not his fault. I am just so out. It's a Bucks life, man.
They might be back to that. They might go back to that slogan. Not fire the cannons. Forget that. It's over.
What's really funny is that
Fire the coaches. That would be a great slogan. Like a fake slogan. Fire the coaches. Oh, that's great.
What's really funny is like I profile wise, if Baker's the starter, I actually think it's probably Godwin that I would be more worried about than Evans.
I feel like Evans is gonna get his. I mean, Baker is known to be like a little bit of a risk taker, and I think that bodes better for Evans.
He's actually got a pretty decent deep ball rate for how mid of a quarterback he is.
He tries. It's not like he's not trying.
I think I put that just because I wanted to make the point that I don't think he's going to hit his 1,000 yards this year. Was the point I wanted to make because I didn't.
That would be a sad day.
Because that was the question that took me the longest to answer on that survey. I was like, I don't think anybody's just going to super fall off a cliff, but like, who do I want to talk about, or like, what team do I want to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see some of these other answers here. So let's talk about some of these other ones, and you can tell me what you think. So, this one you actually probably might agree with based on what you were saying earlier. The player most likely to fall off a cliff for this player was ETN. So, I mean, I don't think he'll fall off a cliff. No, but I don't think he might not live up to the ADP.
No, he'll still definitely be like the running back that you want out of that backfield. It's not going to be like, I want to say it's going to be like a 50-50 split, but he's not efficient in the receiving game, and he wasn't good inside the 5-yard line. And Bigsby is good at both of those things.
Yeah, it's kind of like honestly, it's an excellent compliment for like for NFL purposes. But
it's literally it's just like Walker and Charbonnet. It's just like Gibbs and Montgomery to me. I think all three of those situations are all very similar. I think Bigsby just doesn't have the biggest name, so it doesn't feel as. But he was a 2nd round pick, 3rd round pick.
I think he's a 3rd. Yeah.
So
if he was a 2nd, would have gone higher.
He's a day 2 running back. I mean, he's gonna. I like.
He's gonna play. He's gonna get touches. He's not gonna just be a nothing.
I think he played behind an awful offensive line at Auburn. I think Horrific. It was terrible.
I watched a lot of that tape. It was bad. Okay, so another one we have here is actually going back to our Chargers conversation. Keenan Allen is his.
Oh, not this year.
It would make me sad.
It's a difference between falling off and do I think a player is going to get injured. I think that's likely because of age, but I don't think it's.
Maybe that's why he falls off the cliff.
I don't. When I think of falling off a cliff, that's not what I think of. So.
I kind of with you. I feel like when I hear like falling off a cliff, I'm thinking like Julio Jones type falling off a cliff, whereas like he was a wide receiver 3 and then nothing, just absolutely nothing. So there's guys like that. So another one, actually it's the last one we have on our list here. Geno Smith is this player, which honestly, I am kind of, I think I talked about this when we did the Alex, the Muskrat Spectacular on 4th of July. I'm out on Geno Smith. I feel like there is a chance that it might be a checks in the bank situation. It's possible.
Nah.
I just don't. I want to see him do it again. I don't believe. I just don't believe.
I don't think he'll be the most accurate quarterback in the NFL 2 years in a row. I think he'll be up there. I think he'll probably be one of the leaders in interceptions, but I think he's going to throw enough touchdowns to where that won't matter.
If he does that, then for fantasy purposes, that's just fine.
He played that well at quarterback with 2 rookie tackles last year.
It's impressive. I'm not discounting what he did last year. I'm just saying I want to see him do it again.
And you add a 1st-round receiver and a 2nd-round running back, and their offensive line is better this year. And he's got another. He's now in a position where he doesn't have to like fight for a starting job. He is the starter. I don't know.
I could be completely wrong. I mean, I probably will be, honestly. Like the math says no.
I've never not liked Geno Smith. He played on a terrible Jets team that was just an awful run organization, and then got his jaw broken by a teammate. Like,
well, I'll tell you this: I've never liked Geno Smith. So
I never thought he was like the guy, but I never like disliked him.
He went like 9 years without doing anything. He's like. It's like, how am I supposed to like this guy? he's never been good until last year.
I always thought he would end up being like a high level backup.
Yeah, like he'd be like the Tyrod Taylor-y kind of guy. I think that's what people thought last year with him and Drew Lock.
He's a good thrower, man. Gets the ball.
I mean, he looked like I said, he looked good last year. He looked like he actually like had things figured out. So if he does have it figured out again, then I'm in. But I would like to see it happen again. I just don't know. So let's go to our next one. Your top pick for a breakout young player this season. My pick was George Pickens.
That's a
Just
good one.
because
I thought about that one.
I don't think he's really. It's funny because I don't think he's gonna develop anymore. I just think he's
He doesn't
just
have
like
to.
that's what I'm saying. Like I think he's just so talented, it doesn't matter much.
He
Like he's just
literally
gonna be
mosses
that guy.
somebody every day in training camp. It's the most. That guy is
He's a
wild,
freak.
man.
He's a freak in nature. Like that's why I'm like I'm betting on the freaky talent. I really don't know if he's going to be a more technically savvy receiver. I don't think that's gonna happen. But maybe it happens as he gets older. But right
He's
now he's
got
just gonna have to keep mossing people.
he's got good hands and he knows how to score touchdowns, so he's automatically better than Deontay Johnson. So
Man,
there's
some
that.
people. Yeah, that's a weird one. I don't know what the ADP is in redraft for that, but I feel like they gotta be kind of close.
I've got I got Pickens
Interesting.
higher.
Well, I mean, the touchdown that he scored today was on an in route, which I've never seen him run an in route.
Ooh.
So I was proud.
He just needs to add like one route per year, and he's fine.
If he could do, because he runs slants and goes. That's all his whole route tree is. It's just slants and goes.
What is DK Metcalf's route tree?
Something very similar to that.
He scored like 13 touchdowns 2 years ago.
I mean, but he's just such a fuck. Like he's even more of a freak than Pickens is. It's insane. So next one I see here. So yours looks like it's Sam Laporta, which I love. I'm a Sam Laporta guy. It's such a weird year this year. This tight end class, dude. If I could draft seven tight ends to add to the 7 tight ends I currently have, I would have drafted them all. There was so many good ones.
It's like every inkling of me, like in my fantasy brain, I was like, don't pick a rookie tight end. Don't pick a rookie tight end.
They take a while to develop, that's for sure.
But like, there could be like how many? Let's say top. Not that it matters because the tight end points isn't that great, but like how many of the rookies do you think could finish in the top 20 tight ends this year? Like
I say 5 because I love Laporta, I love Musgrave.
Kincaid.
I think Kincaid's a shoe-in for a top 20.
Yeah.
And I think Mayer, we haven't seen much of him yet, but Mayer's probably going to be
Austin
involved.
Hooper's there, so they might take him a little while to get on the field because McDaniels.
But that's fine. I'll let him.
McDaniels is an idiot, so I don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah, I think he's just whoever the next coach is. It's just that's the next one. Yeah. I'm not expecting anything from Mayer this year, but I am expecting a decent amount from Kincaid. But I still think, I mean, with all those guys, and I actually think one of the sleeper tight ends, like too, is on James's team is Brenton Strange. He went in the 2nd round of the real NFL draft, and nobody cares. I know he's behind Ingram, but if Ingram goes down for any reason, like he could play a pretty big role and get into the top 22.
I was more excited before Ingram signed the long-term deal.
Of course, yes.
I've got him in Galactic, so I'm holding on.
I just think he's talented. Like I watched his tape and I was like, oh shit, he's pretty good. And
if I need to make
has an excellent track record with tight ends.
If I need to make a move in that league, like he's going to be the guy that I'm probably going to have to let go because I've got Laporta and I've got Travis Kelce in that league. So
yeah, like those two, you're going to be. I think Laporta is so legit. Like he's by far out of all the guys in the class, he might be the best blocker. I think he's much better than Kincaid and Mayer.
He's been number 1 on the depth chart for like a couple weeks now already, dude, which for a rookie tight end just doesn't really happen.
He's just a dog. He's just exactly what I expected Dan Campbell to want at a tight end. So I think he's going to be he might be great right out of the gate. Honestly, it's just we'll have to see. But I love him. The other answers we got a James Cook answer for breakout young player, and we also
he's got no touchdown upside, so it's a little worrisome. But
yeah, he's definitely going to get touches.
Yeah.
So that's. I mean, he can't. I don't know if I'd call him a breakout player, but he's definitely going to get a bump this year. JSN is another answer. I think that might be a year away.
I think he'll flash with what he's given. I just don't know. There's only so many mouths to feed an offense. You got
it's a run-first offense too.
Yeah.
Last one is Elijah Moore. That's an interesting choice. I just don't like that situation there. All right, let's go to name the NFL team that will be the Broncos of the 2023 season, other known as the biggest flop. Your answer was Browns Jaguars.
This is a tough one. I really like. Other than this one, actually might have been the one that took me the longest to answer. I don't know. The Browns are gonna brown. Like that's like the only answer I could come up with in my head for that one. Their roster is good,
They're pretty solid.
but I don't know. I think the easy answer might be the Jets because their offensive line is a little mid. But and then the Jaguars literally are returning the same 11 defensemen from last year, and they weren't a good defense other than QB pressures.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I like Doug Peterson, but they're gonna have to like track meet everybody, which I don't know. We'll see. They almost lost. They almost didn't win the division to friggin' Josh Dobbs last year. So
Yeah, they barely scraped by last year.
but
I don't think I don't know if they're gonna like suck, but they might be a disappointment. That's for sure.
yeah, I don't know. It was a tough one, man, because I think Trevor's gonna be better. I don't know. I was just thinking of like win losses.
I have a very interesting. My answer here is probably not going to align with a lot of people, and I hate that I'm doing it, but I'm saying the Lions. I think there's a chance that they might not be as far ahead as they think they are in the process. I think their defense isn't very good still. They still have a lot of work to do there,
Yeah,
specifically in the secondary.
yeah.
They've gotten some guys, but not
Gardner
many.
Johnson. How long is he out? He got hurt. Didn't he?
He
Like a
did get
non.
hurt. I just don't know how long.
That would really suck. I really liked the rookie that they drafted though from
Yeah,
Alabama. He's good. I like him a lot.
he's a player, and I
Sutton's
think too
good.
with Jameson being out the first 6 weeks, that doesn't help the cause.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, that's
I
not
mean,
great.
I could just see a world where they don't, because they're going to start with the Chiefs opening game. That's probably a loss. Just,
Maybe.
I think I would be taking the Chiefs there. But
I
there's a
Chiefs are
chance.
Chiefs are going into week one with 2 new tackles, so and they didn't start off last year very hot.
No, they didn't. That's very true. And it's a new OC technically. With
And
Bieniemy.
I think Ben Johnson is on like that Mike McDaniel, Shanahan, McVay level of offensive
Oh, he's
minds.
gonna be a head coach next year. I think
Yeah,
if the Lions have a good season, he'll be a head coach. It's just a matter of time. Yeah, I don't know. I could see a world where like the expectations are just too high for the Lions, and then they just kind of flop. But we'll see. The other answers we're seeing here, we got the Saints is one of them.
their
Um,
schedule is too easy.
I was thinking, yeah, the NFC. That's the thing is like that whole NFC South is a disaster. The
I think they're
Vikings is another one.
I keep telling myself the teams are bad, and I keep wanting to talk myself into them having 2 playoff teams this year because their schedules are so easy.
Dude, I mean, like I could almost see a world where the Panthers find a way in. Like
Oh
maybe
no, I'm thinking the
maybe
Falcons.
I'm thinking the Falcons too, though. Like they're both like if Ritter does end up playing decent and the offense is chugging along, their defense got better.
I mean, if Ritter isn't a bottom 5 quarterback, I think they can make the playoffs.
It's
That's
yeah. I
the
mean,
line.
if he's like a 20 rank QB 22 or something, like that's probably gonna be fine. Like they run the ball so much, and their defense got better. So I don't know. So with the Vikings was another answer we received. I could see that as
That
well.
one's yeah, that's probably the right answer.
I mean, they made the playoffs last year. It's
They're,
gonna be I mean, they lost Cook. Obviously, that's gonna be a pretty decent loss. But like their defense really isn't that good anymore.
yeah, but they got oh god, I forgot his name. DC.
Oh Jesus. I have to look it up. Hold on.
The former Dolphins head coach.
Vikings
Flores.
DC. Oh, Flores. That's right. Yep. I'm an
He
idiot.
did so much with a Dolphins team a few years ago that had nobody on it that
He got a lot out of that
just
team.
I think that defense is just going to be aggressive as hell, and I think they're just going to try and push turnovers. I think that's probably going to be the way they play. So that could go either way for me.
Yeah, I don't think their offense is gonna suck either, though. So they'll be fine.
No,
All
their
right.
offense will be great. They're fine.
So the
I'm not a huge
next.
Jordan Addison guy, but I think they'll be good.
So your favorite shithead bench player this year. So you have
Color Frog.
Cladfrog. I don't I don't love Cladfrog, but I understand that he's a shithead.
Like, how
Other
can I drop him? I can't drop him.
I don't think you can. Like
So
not yet.
he's a perfect like
He
roster
is a
card.
perfect shithead. I had my favorite shithead for a while was Davis Mills, so I just put him in there, but I just cut
That's a
him.
good one.
He was just a great guy to have in the locker room.
We'll see.
Um,
After week one, he could be the starter next week
I
preseason.
mean, maybe I dropped him preemptively. Maybe he's the guy. Who knew?
I dropped him in Galactic. I'm screwed.
Oh, that's a tough one. That's a tough
So
one. Other answers we have are Rondale Moore, Kadarius Toney, and Kenneth Gainwell.
Ronald Moore's gonna have like 90 targets this year. How is he a shithead? That's a lot of
He
opportunity.
hasn't done anything yet. He's done hardly anything
No,
at all.
his A dot his rookie year was like negative, wasn't it?
Not good.
It was
It was all
wild.
screen passes, basically.
It was. It all was.
All right, next category. Which player will have the biggest dynasty ADP jump? So I'll skip to you because we kind of talked about it earlier. You had Tank Bigsby and
I
Zay
did.
Flowers. So you think
Yeah.
you're a big Tank supporter, clearly.
Yeah, like I said, like he will get on the field on pass pro receiving, and I think he's just better in the red zone. So
And then
I think
Zay
that's
Flowers, I wanted to talk about him earlier when we were talking about like camp battle type of things. So, but there's two people that said Zay Flowers. So you and another person.
yeah,
So
that one's a contingency. Like, not. I think like going into next year. I think he'll be the one on that team because Odell will either I don't know. He said he's going to retire or whatever, and I think Bateman is. I'm selling everything Bateman. I don't like young
Bateman is the J.K.
receivers.
Dobbins of receivers.
he's, he's getting foot injections like every month.
Oh
Like
my god.
get him away. I've traded him off of like every team. Like I just don't want any part of that.
I
So
still think there's upside, but it's just like J.K. Dobbins. It's like I
like
can't do it.
if we're in week 4 and it's like Zay Flowers, Nelson Aguilar, and Devin Duvernay as the receiving core in Baltimore, are we gonna be surprised? Like
Does it always seem like this to you? But the Ravens always have somebody that's perennially injured every year. Like
yeah.
some good player. Like I remember like Brashad Perriman back in the day. He was always hurt.
I
Like
I sent you a trade request for Gus Edwards and he got hurt like 6 hours later.
yes, he
I was
did.
like I was like, thank God.
Like he really but the thing is, I knew he was gonna get hurt because he gets hurt all the time too.
You should trade him.
Who are
to
the
me.
trainers there?
You should have known.
Who are these
Nobody that
trainers?
deserves a job.
They need some
Apparently.
new trainers. This is rough out there. So we had Zay Flowers answer. We had so this is going along the same other one as the Elijah Moore is another one.
Who is on Elijah Moore's dick? What the fuck?
It's gotta be Dustin, right?
Give
He
me
has him,
Donovan
right?
Peoples Jones. Jesus.
Who
Christ.
has Elijah? Is it Dan has him now? Maybe
Didn't
he trade him?
Was he in that James? No, that was Donovan.
He was involved in a trade recently. Let me look. I'm pretty sure he's on Dan's team now. So that could be a Dan tell. Let's see. Trades.
If it's Dan, I take everything back. He's gonna be a top 12 receiver.
I think it is Dan. I can't see the transactions because Twitter sucks. Or I'm sorry, Sleeper's new shit sucks. I'm going back. We're gonna find it, but I really do believe it's Dan. Because like if you're on your phone, you could see it easily.
Yeah, give me 1 second. I'll look at it.
I think I'm looking. Oh my god, there's so many memes I'm scrolling past. The chat is
Dustin's team.
Dustin's team. So maybe he wasn't involved in a trade.
I think he was with that. Didn't Dustin and Alex make?
Oh, click his name on the app, and then click history.
Shit, I closed it. Hold on.
Jesus, this podcast is off the rails.
Christ,
it's a tough go out here. Our one listener is hung up.
Oh no!
I think I found it. Nope, I didn't. They're all just.
Yeah, it was a trade with Alex and Dustin. It was for Chris Olave.
That's right. It wasn't Dan. Damn it! I thought it was Dan for some
reason. Dylan Etienne and Elijah Moore for Chris Olave.
So let me look at these other answers. We got to figure out who this is.
Why only flipped Etienne like right away? Wow.
I think this might be Dan. So his player most likely to fall off the cliff was Etienne. Top breakout pick was Elijah Moore. His team that's going to stink is the Dolphins.
Whoa.
Favorite shithead bench player was Rondale Moore. Dan has Rondale Moore.
You always pick your own guys, you know?
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, I feel like for that one, people would take their own players there. So, anywho, let's move on. Other ADP jump answers were Quentin Johnston and Trevor Lawrence were the other two.
I'm okay being wrong on Quentin Johnson. TCU receivers haven't worked out, and
they really haven't.
And he's after the catch guy, which could work for Herbert, but
he's got to catch the ball.
He doesn't win downfield really that well.
I mean, I was kind of thinking the same thing even when I traded for him, but a lot of the camp stuff saying that he's winning like jump balls and shit. So I don't know.
Herbert's throwing the ball; it's going to go exactly where it needs to. So
that's very true. So at least he should be better than Max Duggan.
Duggan.
So last category is a fun one. Is name your favorite random player from 2012 to 2022. And yours was Theo Riddick, which is
Yeah, why not?
it's a great name.
Yeah.
Mine was Jonathan Stupar. I think I might have been a year or two late on that one. I think he actually was a 2010 guy, but I'll still throw it in there. Another answer we got was Jacquizz Rogers, which is a great one. JJ Arcega-Whiteside, Sean.
Ooh, I think he's a tight end now.
I saw him on some team recently. The Giants, maybe, as a tight end.
Yeah.
I don't remember. Speaking of Giants, Ahmad Bradshaw was another answer. That was.
Yeah, but wasn't he fantasy relevant for a while?
I mean, this one was name your favorite random player. Yeah. So if you like the Ahmad Bradshaw, you like the Ahmad Bradshaw.
Yeah, but if you're gonna, it's got to be a Lions running back has got to be on there. That's why I went with Riddick.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, I was thinking Kerryon Johnson too was kind of in my arsenal. God, he did nothing. Dude, they all bust. Or Michael LaShore.
I'd go with Javid Best. I just don't know if he knows his name.
Man, who's that other back in that same time frame? James drafted him in the first round. No, he's a Giants running back.
Oh.
I can't remember shit.
Orleans Darkwa?
No, it was David Wilson. Remember David Wilson? He barely played, but hold on, here's another one. Late submittal from Alex Morales. Marty Gilliard.
Yeah.
I love Marty Gilliard. He had seashells in his hair. That was awesome. I loved him. And I think I really like Marty Gilliard coming out too.
Was he 2012?
He had to be before that because he was at like an early Senior Bowl for us, I think.
Cheater.
But then I picked Jonathan Stupar, so I cheated too. It's fine. Marty Gilliard. Marty Janet. All right, so that wraps up the survey. We're about an hour and 50 minutes. So let's wrap this one up for today. I'm hoping to do at least one more before the season starts. I think we're definitely going to have to do a week 1 preview podcast. Maybe we can bring in a big group for that one. Perhaps we can have maybe 2 or 3, 4 people on that one to talk about week 1.
Can I give you a redraft? Would you rather, real quick?
Sure. Give away information.
All right, here we go. Would you rather have Mike Williams or Deebo Samuel?
I think I'll take Deebo. And I don't even like Deebo. I'm an Ayuk stan, so it's hard for me to love Deebo. But here's the problem with Williams. I just don't ever trust his health. Not that I trust Deebo's health.
That was the.
But the upside is better for Deebo than it is for Mike Williams. So that I think I'd go with the upside there. That's a tough one though. I didn't think it'd be as close as it was in my head.
Yeah, I've got my redraft rankings up, so I
still got to throw mine together. I'm getting closer though. I've done some mocks, so at least I'm like kind of figuring out where people are going this year. But our league is so different than everybody else's. I feel like the first round is going to be a lot different, but we'll have to cross that bridge when we get there.
Yeah, it's so weird. It's so receiver heavy this year, like in all these mock drafts, and then we get to our league, and it's like
it's going to be 7 running backs in the first round. Yeah. So for week 1, I think we'll probably talk about it a little bit more on the next podcast before week 1. But I'm going to try to run a pick'em game again this year. I know we kind of like fizzled out last year because it was on Discord, and that's kind of hard. So I'm going to try to find a way to integrate it within Sleeper, so that way, at the beginning of maybe like Tuesday or Thursday after waivers clear, that there's a way that you see it within the chat, or there's a way that we can do like a poll or something. I'll figure out a way to make it better, but I think the pick'em game is a good way to keep conversation going throughout the year. So I'll see what I could do. That should wrap it up here. Episode 48. We're not far away. We only got a couple more weeks left, and then we'll get to see. I think this is gonna be one of the best dynasty seasons to date with how competitive that top 7, 8 is going to be. So I'm excited for it. Till next time, we'll see you later.